All right, y'all. So here we go. JJ McCarthy film breakdown. There's been a lot of hype and a lot of talk about JJ McCarthy. Some have him going in the top 10 in the first round. Some scouts have said that if he had the opportunity to throw more, we would be calling him Joe Burrow. Now that's a lot of hype. That's a lot of talk. But let's look at the film because the film is where the truth lies. And on this play for Michigan, what they have is the wide receiver to the bottom of the screen right here, working from the bottom up. He's going to be running this hitch route. We have the tight end on the line of scrimmage. He's going to be running this out. The wide receiver right here in the slot is going to be running a slant, and to the top we have a go. And as we watch this play, the back points to the slot wide receiver, and then immediately JJ McCarthy points there, right? So my my guess, and I'm betting good money on this, is that this is some kind of communication. Michigan has seen this coverage from Hawaii. And as the snap happens, we're going to see this cornerback right here that's on the slot wide receiver fan out to his coverage over here. So we've got this slant route early, and we can see JJ McCarthy points there. And let's look at where he goes. Where does his eyes go? Because he looks there again, and immediately his eyes are right there, right? We can now, I know it's easy going, hitting that play button and pausing things at any kind of second, especially when we're analyzing quarterbacks. But we do feel like he can hit this throw, right? We've seen him and the running back make that communication, point to the slot wide receiver. The cornerback that's on the slot wide receiver fans out to his coverage in zone. We can just deliver this football quickly and get a big play out of it. Instead, and if I'll go a little bit back right here. You see he looks there again. We're looking at it. The only problem is if you don't get it out quick enough and you're looking at it, what you should do is pay attention for this linebacker right here, this guy, because he is now that number 9 goes out into his coverage, he is the determining factor in how this play goes. So if we just look left a little bit to get him to shade that way, or if we stare the linebacker down a little bit, then get to the top of the drop and hit that wide receiver, make we have him have concrete in his shoes. He's not because he's looking at JJ's eyes. He's not able to make this as risky a play as it is. And so let's watch it develop. Rewind a little bit here so you get the full play. I mean, it hits the wide receiver's hands right, and in some, it's a good pass considering the circumstances. In a lot of instances, you want the ball to be. You don't want to lead the wide receiver into zone coverage. You want to throw it on them or a little bit behind them. That's what that is. It hits a wide receiver in the hands, and we're gonna see he points to himself like, "That's my bad. I should have caught that." But again, I mean, if you point out to that coverage, you make some kind of communication or something, and if you look that way again, so he looks at it again, get that ball out. Probably don't need the hitch right there. We can just, you know, catch it, kind of like shortstop making the play. Just get the ball, let it go, get it out, as opposed to staring it down a little bit and having number 1 possibly make a play on it. Because we watch it from this angle. Number he leads it to number 8's left shoulder. That's a pick 6 going into the end zone. It's a bad play for your first collegiate start going up against Hawaii, right? It still hits the wide receiver in the hands. He has a chance to catch it. I mean, just things he could do to make this play better. Is it unfortunate the wide receiver dropped it? Yeah, but just small things he can do to make this play better. But of course, it's his first start, right? And so again, with this play, we're going to see JJ McCarthy work more of his reads. Go 1 to 2. As soon as you're going to your drop back and you're approaching it, are you looking one way? Then when you get to it, are you going to your second read? What does the footwork look like in the pocket? How are you delivering the football from a fundamental standpoint? Are you putting a lot of torque into it, using your hips, right? So let's see this play, analyze it going from top to bottom. This wide receiver here, the one who was previously working the slant route, he's going to run a hitch. We're going to have the tight end on the line of scrimmage run a sit over the ball. Wide receiver right here in the slot, going to be running a flat route, and then the wide receiver to the bottom of the screen with a hitch. So let's see how J.J. McCarthy works this, because it looks like pre-snap, the Hawaii defense is in cover 3, right? And that's what they do. So we've got cover 3. See ball snap. They're going into cover 3. We're looking at J.J. McCarthy's eyes. They're right here on the tight end. Now, we don't like that because there's a lot of key players right here, a lot of defenders for Hawaii. We don't like that. To the top of the drop, let's get off it. On the money, on the break, and chance for yards after catch. So here from the back view, we get to see JJ McCarthy's read. Again, watch the stripe of his helmet to see where he's going with these things. And of course, the footwork. Doesn't like it. Quick decision making, quick process right here. Deliver the football to 8. And what I was talking about with delivering the football, right, with torque, you want to throw your hips into it. So we're seeing him load off the back foot, which is key. Throw the hips into it. Use all your core strength into the throw, as opposed to using your arm and having to suffer through what some pitchers go through. So he's using all that torque, hits him right in the numbers, and we get yards after catch. Now they did catch him in the right defense at the right time, right? We have the hitch route. That linebacker, he gets depth, but then he's going to the back who's running a flat route. We have that open window. Here with this play, we get to see J.J. McCarthy's arm strength, what he has in the arsenal in terms of arm strength, and then combined with the arm strength, do you have accuracy with that? So this play for Michigan, they have number 8, right? The guy that worked the hitch, caught the ball last play, was working the slant. He's going to be running this over route. So we have the over route from him. It's a play action with the running back. And to the top of the screen, this wide receiver right here is going to be running a post. Inside leverage. Now pre-snap, knowing this play, okay? To the top of the screen, this cornerback's inside leverage on a post route. Don't love it. And we have safety over top. And also the key, I want to mention within this play too, the key play or the key factor in this play on defense is this safety right here. Because with the play action, these linebackers are going to commit up to the run. So what does the safety do? If he gets depth, then we're going to work the over route to number 8. If he goes with his linebackers and commits to the run, then we have the big play touchdown possibility on the post. So let's see how J.J. McCarthy works this out. Because his eyes, if we were to draw a line, should still be connected with this safety right here on the logo. So here we go. And you can see, right? He works. Let me rewind it a little bit back. Where his eyes are as soon as he's selling it. So he's selling it. Run, we get to see in a couple seconds later, the linebackers commit to the run, but his eyes right there too, the safety. Now, what does the safety do? He gets a little bit of depth, right? And we also feel like, really? So with the safety, he's even with the wide receiver, but we can see, of course, that's a lot of yards. The wide receiver wins. He has that inside leverage now for the post. And we also possibly have this over route. So anything really, just pick and choose. And we get the big play, right? And that's a nice throw. Like I did not expect J.J. McCarthy to have this kind of throw in his arsenal. And the wide receiver is pretty open, right? We could say, well, that's pausing it right here. That should be a touchdown. He should be able to lead that wide receiver. And I would agree. But for some quarterbacks, they either have it in their arsenal, they don't. I would say J.J. McCarthy semi has it. And that ball placement, right? Like we see where the wide receiver's gloves go. On that post, we want it to be to their left shoulder. and that's where it is. So here from this back angle, we're going to see again his eyes, but what I want to pay attention to here from this back angle is how much, again, torque he puts into this throw, right? That's like javelin-esque, like something you would see from the Olympics. You're loading off that back foot. You're using all your core strength to really get as much as you can out of this throw. So he's using the hips, he's using the shoulders. Like that workout with Dak Prescott, right? It got a lot of attention where he's on his workouts and he's doing that kind of hip thing. Looks like he's doing a dance. That's what these teams, quarterback coaches teach these quarterbacks to do. He does that. We get a big play to the wide receiver, and you can see they're kind of having to judge that ball right there. So right here on this play for Michigan, it looks RPO, and we see the offensive line work up as if it is the run game as well. But for this play, we have the wide receiver number 1 to the bottom of the screen running a go. We have number 8 running this slant post. His landmark is going to be to the goal line right here. And so working this with the RPO, J.J. McCarthy's eyes, again, should be on the safety. We look at the leverage for this post. It's outside. We like that. But again, the key thing is the safety. We have to manipulate him. Does he, with the RPO, does he respect the run and commit up, or does he get enough depth, stay where he is? Let's watch this play unfold. And we can see, right, that safety, he's not committing to the run. He's backpedaling, getting distance. And J.J. McCarthy's eyes are on the wide receiver again. Now, of course, it's his first start, right? But really, his eyes should be right here because that safety has enough. He has enough depth, and he has a chance to possibly make a play on the ball if he commits that way. He doesn't. And the thing I also want to just be wary of is the anticipation he throws with. Right here, wide receiver is starting the break, and J.J. McCarthy's loading up. He's got a good base, good form, letting that football go, and it hits him right on the face mask. Now, again, in the NFL, that safety is going to be reading JJ's eyes, and we see it. He gives him that, he looks his way slightly right. Safety doesn't commit to the run, but the anticipation, and then right where the ball goes, right on the face mask. Again, here, working from the back angle, we're going to see his eyes. Right, he's on the safety. Should he have, you can make the argument he should have given this ball, and we see the offensive line working up, right? But it's good ball placement, and the end result is a touchdown. So, I mean, not too much we can not take away, but be negative about, I would say. This play here, J.J. McCarthy going with the deep ball again. It's something we haven't seen a lot from him the past couple of years at Michigan. Of course, Michigan's been this run-heavy team with heavy formations, fronts, all of those sorts of things. But for this play, working with what the wide receivers are going to do from top to bottom, this wide receiver at the top is going to run this post. We have the wide receiver in the slot right here. He's going to be running this out and up. So it's a switch release rub concept esque-ish. And the tight end is going to be running a sit over the ball. Wide receiver right here is going to be running this underneath route, crossing route. And the halfback lined up at wide receiver right here is going to be running this go route. So and J.J. McCarthy is going to work with this halfback right here. So again, he's watching this safety, being wary of where he is. And well, let's just watch it. Good throw, right? In the NFL, that he slides into the end zone, doesn't get touched, right? But I would make the argument, and I would agree that a better ball, and we don't have to rely on the receiver and especially the running back, right? Because how many running backs in the league can we say make catches outside their frame like a wide receiver. The back does a fantastic catch right here. Should be a better throw, but let's analyze the play within itself, how JJ is processing these things. And immediately at the snap, right, he gets it, and he's looking that way to the safety. Now, in college, the hashes are a lot wider than the NFL. So we have this safety on the hash, and we have this go route from the running back. Something we don't love, but if we really truly want to go with this play, and we feel confident about our skilled guy making the catch and getting into the end zone, let's look one way to go the other way, or stare down this safety to hold him for a little bit. That way we have a window for this go route, and we can see he does that. Now he gets to the top, and now his eyes have shifted this way. Top of his drop. And one thing I also wanted to point out here is when he's letting this ball go and where the receiver's at. So right now he's starting to let this ball go. Now he's fully committed to the throw. Look at where the wide receiver is at compared to the defensive back. It looks like the defensive back is the one running this route, right? And if it was a race, we feel like with this being paused, the Hawaii defensive back wins this race, and the ball is being let go. It's a good throw. We give our playmaker an opportunity to make a big play. He does. Again, a better throw, and he semi walks into the end zone. We put it on his shoulder pad or on his chest, right? But a good play, nothing we can can say or be too negative about. Again, now we get a better view from the back angle where his eyes go right on that safety. But then when you get to the top of the drop, what decision are you making? How quick are you making that decision? Lets it go. Nice play. On this play, what Michigan is going to be running. So this play for me is it winds up in a touchdown for JJ in Michigan, but it's something I'm not too crazy about, especially with when we see which way he's looking, the way he's processing, and throwing into some tight windows, right? So let's analyze this play. Right here to the bottom of the screen, this wide receiver is going to be running a go. So he's going to come up, give a little move, sell the go route. This tight end right here is going to be running this kind of route, and the spacing between him and 14, I necessarily don't love. I'll talk about it a little bit later. And right here, the wide receiver, he's going to be running this over route this way of the area, and the wide receiver at the top of the screen is just going to be running a go. So he's got a go route right here. And so let's analyze this play. It ends up in a touchdown for JJ, but not something I'm really crazy about. So he's looking right, and we see this play develop, right? Hawaii is in another zone defense. They got 3 deep for the safeties. Linebackers are right here. But we can see the opportunity, right? Roman Wilson is open for a touchdown if we're able to layer it over the defender and throw into this voided area. So we see that. And again, with the spacing, it's just something I wasn't too crazy about with the spacing, and I think the tight end might have run it possibly incorrect. So what I think Michigan is trying to do right here is, of course, they've got number 14 right here running the over route. And we've seen a lot of 3 deep from Hawaii. They know that 8 is going to occupy this defender right here. The defender, all we have to pay attention to and be aware of is the safety again in the middle of the field. And just the spacing overall, right? They're right on top of each other, maybe 2 yards of separation between the two. What I think that Michigan is trying to accomplish is have this tight end run more so to the goalpost right here to occupy this safety. That way we have a huge enough window to get the ball to Roman Wilson, number 14. and we can see his JJ's processing, right? Looks like he's going left, right. Not too confident with the play in and of itself. Left, right. Scrambles outside the pocket, makes a good throw. It's a money throw for a touchdown, but the way with the opportunity he had with Roman Wilson to be a touchdown, something I think he needs to work a little bit on, or just get more comfortable with. Right? We see his processing. He's gonna look right, middle, right, left, unsure, unaware, possibly misses Roman Wilson. It still ends up in a touchdown, but something I think like I said, I'm not too crazy about with the way he processed that. All right, y'all. So here we are, JJ McCarthy's second year. Right? We watched his first career collegiate start going up against Hawaii at home. Now in his second year in the college football semi-final playoff, excuse me, up against TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. And here for Michigan, what the play is, working from the bottom to the top again. Tight end on the line of scrimmage is going to be running this out, I think, to the 40. Then we have Roman Wilson, the slot wide receiver here, running a go post-ish. And at the top of the screen, we have this wide receiver running a deep in. So we have that going. The reason why I picked out this play is because it's shown me when I watched his Hawaii game and I watched this Fiesta Bowl game against TCU, he loves to throw the deep ball, right? When we talk about that one play, it was the deep ball up against Hawaii. We talked about the arm strength and all of those sorts of things. Was it perfectly put out? Like the safety was getting depth, right? And usually when the safeties get depth, we don't want to throw those types of balls or that make that type of throw. But he still did. And so this one shows me that when given the chance to air it out, he is a quarterback that will do so. So let's watch this play unfold. Again, the eyes right here should be on the safety. And we see this cornerback get a lot of depth. Let's let it go a little bit more. So he's at the top of his drop, right? Now it's decision-making time. What are you going to do? Because it's either 1 to 2 or so forth, depending on how the safety's playing this. Well, the safety's gotten depth, and that cornerback has enough depth too. We see J.J. McCarthy's eyes are on that. And they're not committing forward. We see the linebackers commit, and then all of a sudden now they're going into their zone coverage. But we see this voided area, right? If we're to connect the dot between these four players, we see that voided area in there inside that square. He can make that throw. Instead, he's looking deep. And he fires it and lets it go. And I think that was the play that changed a lot of things for Michigan. It was call on the play or on field, a touchdown, but after review, they ruled him down into short turnover, right? We get all those things. It feels predetermined, and making the right play, he should go right here. I would prefer him to go there, but if he wants to air it out, and it feels like when he's given the chance to, he does. I mean, still a really good throw. Watching here from the back view, now we get to see where his eyes work at. He's on the safety right, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like, and actually it doesn't show that he's going to that dig route, right to the wide receiver at the top of the screen. He's completely locked in on letting the ball air out against pretty good coverage. Like there's no circumstance with that cornerback and the safety being so deep that ball should be caught, and he layers it over the defender right there. For Michigan's sake, it's just unfortunate that it wasn't a touchdown for them. And so this play right here, I'm choosing because it's shown me from some of the other clips that I've watched. He looks a little bit too much for the deep throw at times, and his footwork mainly. So with this play right here for Michigan, you're gonna have the go, right? And it looks like a go. Then we're gonna motion number 8 over here to do like a wheel route outside the numbers, and this tight end on the line of scrimmage is going to be running this deep in. So we'll see how this play unfolds. And we look at where JJ's eyes are at. Immediately, his eyes are right here, right? We don't see any safety being possibly taking this deep ball away. But the thing is, it's covered, and he's waiting on it, and he's still looking on it. And by the time he's not getting his eyes off to this thing underneath right here, right? Like he's still locked on to this big play. Now we see him switch differently to the wheel. And something for him to be wary of is, especially in zone, when you're throwing these ins and it's not with anticipation and the timing isn't right, you're holding on to one read longer than you should, is defenders lurking on this area, right? So we're talking about now he's looking to the wheel. Then he finally gets himself squared away, and just watch how close this throw is. It's accurate. You can call it a dot, and it results in a good play. You look back, but you look back at it on the film, and you're like, if he hit this earlier, we don't have to make this such a tight throw. So let me just rewind it a bit, and you can watch it and see it unfold. And that it's a laser, but that's a tight throw. Now, right here, watching the footwork, to me, too toesy, right? If you're on your toes, usually for some quarterbacks, you're high and away just because now you're at a raised position as opposed to having all your cleats in the ground, really being able to drive off that back foot. And when you're being toesy, to get set, that moment and instance of when you're bouncing on your toes and then to finally get set can be the difference from the ball being completed to a near pick or even the ball being picked off. So let's watch it fully unfold here. Again, toesy with the footwork, don't love, kind of holding on to reads too long. If I were to pause it at a specific frame, we see how close that throw is, right? Like there's the football right there. There's the defender's hand. And we also have the guy that was covering the running back on the flat route making a play on it. So right here for this play with Michigan, now we're looking at most recently up against Maryland, his worst game, I think, statistically that he's played. And so let's diagnose this play call. Right here, you're going to have, working from the bottom up, this player right here. He's going to be running this in. Then to the top of the screen, we're going to have this wide receiver run a corner. Right here on the slot, we're going to have him run a slant. And then at the top, we're going to have an in route. Let's see how J.J. McCarthy diagnoses this play right here and where his eyes work. So he's looking left, right? In the defense, linebackers are getting into his zone. It looks like in the back half with the secondary, it's a zone-ish with a man. But right here, like I understand pausing frames, but he has two opportunities for a touchdown right here. Where his eyes are looking, it's the tight end right there. Just layer the football out there. And that, I think layering the football is something he struggles with. Like he can throw into tight windows and it'll be accurate, but layering the ball over linebackers to make this play possible for a touchdown, something he struggles with. And then he has this possibly right here. Instead, it's a clean pocket. Maryland's only rushing 3. He decides to abandon it for whatever reason. Now he's trying to make a play. Now he's trying to do too much. And then again. So let's just work at this within the decision that JJ's making, right? So scrambling out. We see, again, our initial read that we were looking at. He's still wide open for a touchdown. We even see the wide receiver right here. If we lead him this way, that's possibly a touchdown. So again, 2 opportunities from when the ball was snapped and even to now that we're scrambling outside the pocket. Layer the football over there. Instead, it's flat, and I mean, it should be picked. The defenders are really playing defense against themselves on this play right here. So still open, layer it over. You can even lead him right here. He's not, if you go and lead it right here, he's not making a play. He for sure isn't making a play. Instead, the defenders are playing defense against themselves, and I mean, the defense is really lucky that this didn't go into a touchdown, even though they played it really well. See number 9 there, had a chance. And then right here, we get to see it work again, right? So if we go back and rewind a little bit, we're going to have this tight end working the seam. So we've got go, seam, and layering the football is just something he doesn't have in his arsenal. Like, this should be a touchdown, right? We have the seam route, and he's getting ready to throw it. He's anticipating where he's going to be, and this linebacker is getting depth. So if that linebacker gets depth, we most certainly have to layer it over the top, put it right there, right where the mouse is at, right where it's connecting right there at the symbol. Instead, it's a flat ball and it's picked. Again, from the back view right here, and he sees it and he's quick, right? Remember that first play we talked about with Hawaii in terms of looking off the linebacker and looking one way to go the other way? Talking about one of the things he could have done is just get the ball out quickly, one step drop back, get the ball out, fire it. That's what he does right here. Okay, if we rewind it back a little bit. One step. Okay, now let's fire it out there. But again, and I know this sounds repetitive, we've got to layer the football out better than that. Now, maybe he doesn't see number 1. Some teams, NFL organizations are going to have to ask him. This play right here, I think, if I can remember correctly, it was late. It was like the half was going to end. And so Michigan, it was like 3rd and long or something like that, and they needed something. It's a bad play and it's a near interception, but my thing is now, of course, the situation, if my memory serves correct, which I'm hoping it does, you want to get something long, end a half, get into field goal range. Well, if that's the case, I think we have to do a little bit better play than this. Like, maybe JJ McCarthy is supposed to take this check down right here. But look at where the defense is going. Like, these are the linebackers right here, and there's a yard short of the sticks. So everyone, and they're only rushing 3. So we have 8 players all getting depth, and we're running these long developing routes, right? Go, seam, another seam, a go, a version of 4 verticals, and it should be picked. Now for JJ McCarthy, the thing I would say is let's just take the check down right here. We see the defense, the linebackers, and everyone else getting depth. Let's take the check down, have the back run out of bounds, use his skill set instead of getting that near interception. So this play for Michigan right here, they're going to have the tight end right here. He's going to run this over route. So very similar to like that big play that they had where I was talking about his arm strength getting torque on the football. You have the tight end right here running this over. Then the wide receiver at the bottom of the screen is going to be running this post. We want to be looking at the safety, all of those sorts of things, right? This is repetitive for Michigan, so they must know that JJ McCarthy is very comfortable with these types of reads. And the safety, he's getting depth, and we see JJ's eyes immediately go that way. Now what's his processing like? Tight end right here on this over route. Could we layer this football over there? Yeah, but I agree with his decision to not go right here because we have this linebacker. He's got enough depth. He's in a good position. This safety's in a good position. We also have to worry about this flat defender right here because he's in a good position. If we lead him, could he layer it? It'd have to be an accurate throw. Who knows what he feels comfortable with? Instead, we throw it to the check down, and it's a good play by the defender, but it's also it's a near interception for JJ, right? Like we could, of course, like I say, we can pause it and say he should make this right now. We see the opportunity if he were to layer it out and throw with anticipation into a window of somewhere maybe over here where this flat defender can't get it. But it feels like with how he goes through this read. I don't think he sees the flat defender right there. Like you watch you watch this play again, you see how he goes to the reads. Okay, right, we're looking in this area of vision. Now we're looking over here. Don't love it. Two hitches. And now he immediately goes right here. Flat defender, near interception again in this Maryland game. So J.J. McCarthy, is he worth the hype? Because we've heard about it. Jim Harbaugh has said he's the best Michigan quarterback to play in the history of the entire program. We've heard some NFL scouts, some NFL teams have him as the number one quarterback on their board. Some analysts, scouts, believe he should be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft at the quarterback position. And then, lastly, with what we've heard about analysts and scouts, this one more particularly to scouts, they said he is Joe Burrow if he had the opportunity to throw more. All of those things being said, we understand that at Michigan, what he was asked and required to do really wasn't a whole lot. He was asked to hand off the football a lot, rely and lean on the run game, and that's what he did. Now, he did make some exceptional throws throughout Michigan. He made some throws when Michigan needed him to improvise and do things outside the pocket, off schedule, out of structure, but worth the hype. For the first round in the top 10, that's a no-go for me. I look at his cons and I look at my scouting report that I've wrote for J.J. McCarthy. Starting off with the bad, going to finish with the good. Layering the football over defenders, something he struggles with. Touch, he struggles with. Didn't have to do much. Relied on a lot of his playmakers. That run game that Jim Harbaugh in Michigan implemented. We see some of the things he's comfortable with, which is over and post concepts, some dagger concepts. We know he loves to air out the football when given the chance to. Decision making at times, we saw that a lot in the Maryland game, a little bit in the TCU game of some of the decisions he's made when 1 and 2 aren't there or when his go-to isn't there. What is he doing and how comfortable does he feel? Like with the Hawaii game, he was looking left, right when he could have had Roman Wilson earlier for a touchdown. Still resulted in a touchdown, but we have that to look at. Then we have to look at the Maryland game with the flat defender near interception. When number 1 and number 2 aren't there, what does he do outside of that and how comfortable is he with it? I have a lot of questions there. Probably goes through some reads a little bit too quickly at times, I do think. Those are the cons. Now let's look at the goods. Pros. He's fundamentally sound, polished pocket passer when it comes to the fundamentals, having all of the things with footwork at times, having a base, keeping his cleats in the ground. Sometimes he gets off it though. Knows how to read some route concepts. Quick release, loads off his back foot, throws with torque. Quick decision making. Can surprise you off schedule, right? We talked about that with him having to make some throws off schedule for Michigan to really help them win. In the first round, no. Worth a top 10 pick? No. So I look at the best ideal situation for him, and I think a team like the Minnesota Vikings, I think the Seattle Seahawks, and those teams that have a veteran quarterback, but at some point in time are going to have to look forward to the future, is the best possible fit for J.J. McCarthy. Somewhere where he can sit for a year and a half to 2 years, get some more experience, develop a little bit more under a system, and he'll be able to flourish. Now, in particular I think when I look at his game and the fundamentals of the stuff that he does, how technically sound he is there, he is a very Shanahan, McVay, O'Connell fit. Like, I can see a team like the Rams, for instance, taking him as their quarterback. He gives me a little bit of Kirk Cousins vibes, and more so that he's gonna operate in structure. And is he as great an athlete? I think he's a better athlete than Kirk Cousins. I think he's a good athlete at the NFL level, but is he gonna make you miss? Is operating out of structure his go-to thing that he has already like that? No, not necessarily. Then, and another comparison I have for JJ is Brock Purdy, right? Brock Purdy is like JJ McCarthy is nothing flashy, Is there one defining characteristic that really blows you away and sets himself apart from the rest? No, but the fundamentally sound stuff, the technicality standpoint, he does really well, and that's why I feel like he is a Shanahan, McVay, O'Connell perfect ideal fit with one of those teams. And then last thing for JJ McCarthy about Brock Purdy is the way that both are talked about, right? Don't have any of those defining characteristics that are just eye popping and flashy, but we also talk about the pieces that they have around them. With JJ McCarthy, it was the run game, and it was relying on a lot of key playmakers. Colson Loveland, Roman Wilson, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, although Edwards had a down year, relying on his offensive line and the pieces around him, very much like Brock Purdy. So JJ McCarthy, technically sound, fundamentally sound, has a lot of those things. A polished pocket passer, though is going to need a little bit more experience. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. But to me, the best fit, one of those O'Connell, Shanahan, McVay fits, ideally Seattle Seahawks and Minnesota Vikings. That's it for That's Textbook Sports. This film breakdown of JJ McCarthy. I appreciate all of y'all. God bless. Take care. Have a fantastic, wonderful day. The links to my social media are in the description. Make sure you go follow me there. Hit this like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the post notifications bell. And until next time, that's a wrap.